Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Orlando, who is an actor and was a struggling actor like many actors in LA because he was trying to balance his artistic pursuit with the need for financial income. And he was doing a lot of gigs until he found my course and ended up getting a digital marketing position remotely and is now making about $67,000 a year, which provides him with the financial stability that he needs to pursue acting. So this is a really unique story. It's obviously close to my heart because, I have experience in the film industry. So I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thanks for being here, Orlando.
Absolutely, Seth. And thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current job right now? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, so my current job, I am a PPC strategist at Thomson Reuters, FindLaw. So we provide services for, I think there's quite a few law firms all across the country. And I guess when I started, we even had some in Canada. So that was something new for me too, to learn like the difference between things like lawyer and barista. And I thought barista meant like barista from Starbucks. So
You
I
mean
thought
barrister or barista?
Yeah, well, barrister. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Right,
no,
right.
now, yeah, I still get confused. But yeah, barrister. And I didn't know at the difference between that, but yeah, that was like a new learning experience, and the way they spell things as well. So that augmented the keywords. But yeah, I've been at FindLaw now for, I think it's been a little over 2 years now, and it's been great. Been working with a great team, and I like my current position.
That's awesome, man. So as we alluded to your acting pursuit, I'm going to ask, of course, about what you were doing before and how this career path, played into your life. So what were you doing when you found the course?
When I found the course, I was, pursuing acting for about between, 9 or 10 years. And within that time, I, had the opportunity to work on television for shows like Southland when it was still on. I think like Major Crimes was another one. AMC with called The Sun with Pierce Brosnan, and some other like independent films and TV movies. So I was doing that, and it was great when I was when I could work, or when I would work. The only issue with that is, I'm sure many just artists in general or actors can relate, that you don't necessarily have a consistent income when it comes to just being an artist in general. And I was getting to the point where like, well, I really need to find something that's actually going to give me a decent salary, or decent living. And I knew restaurants wasn't it, because I did that too. I knew like Postmates was fun, but that wasn't it. That was just like survival stuff. And then I think it was either Facebook or Instagram where I saw your ad. It's like, oh, digital marketing blueprint. And I always had an interest in it, because I always had an interest about, starting an e-com store, but I didn't know what that was about. And then I started investigating a little bit what it was about. It's like, oh, it's this digital marketing and all this stuff. So, oh, that seems interesting. But I never knew like how is it tangible that somebody can be a digital marketer. And then when I saw your course, and for the price, was very, it's something I could really do. And I was like, okay, I've tried other stuff, but why not? And that's when I got your course, and I went through it. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of like, it started out pretty good, because like, okay, this is like a step-by-step, like play-by-play way of being a digital marketer. And it didn't just cover like Facebook, it covered like, pretty much all of social media and Google Ads, which is what I do now, and SEO, which is what I was really interested in because I really like to write and stuff. So the SEO stuff was kind of cool. So, oh, maybe I could do that. But then I just fell into like PPC, which I like as well. And that was kind of what, segued me into what I currently do. So that was a good pop-up ad and a good ad and then a good course that you created. So, it helped a lot of people. It helped me as well. So
that's awesome, man. By the way, that's really interesting. And I acknowledge you for your success in acting because you've been on major TV shows, and people don't understand how hard it is to make it as an actor. It is so competitive. And to even get a TV credit is such a great accomplishment. But you also do have to, like a lot of artists, if you're watching this, if you're pursuing film, if you're pursuing music, if you're pursuing acting, art, you have that struggle between your desire to be an artist and your need to eat. And right. I think I may have mentioned I had one of the actresses from my movie, While I Got Wasted, contacted me. If you're watching this, Caitlin, I'm talking about you. And she was asking because I think she's in a similar place. I was like, yeah, this is a great field because we'll talk more about this in a moment. It provides you with a level of flexibility that you can only get with these gig jobs, waiting tables, Postmates, but those don't provide the income, or they're brutally physically demanding. Like, right. Waiting tables is not, people do that. It's like being an athlete. Like you have to, you can only do it for a little bit of time. So we'll come to that in a moment, but let's just give people a little more details about. So what was your first job after the course? Did you start right at Thomson Reuters or did you have another gig?
No. My first job was at it was kind of like a startup. I remember their main business was accounting, but within that accounting, they wanted to segue or add like another branch to their business, and that was digital marketing. So they wanted to add sort of like.
Well, what were you doing at this company? Were you doing SEO? Were you doing PPC?
Yeah, well, at this company, I was kind of doing everything related to digital marketing. So there was like some pros and some cons to that. The pro is that I got to work on actual accounts and speak with real business people and see how they operate and how they speak and how important, digital marketing was to their business, especially at that time or this time as it continues to increase, and people, they need it. So at that company, I was doing Facebook ads. I was doing some SEO, writing articles. I was doing, PPC, pretty much everything regarding digital marketing that wasn't like Twitter or.
Right. And what were you getting paid at this first job?
Yeah, at this first job, I think it was like $20 an hour. And it was a contract job, which at the time I wasn't like too thrilled with it because it was per hour. So I only got paid for the hours that I worked. And it wasn't as concrete as far as like having an actual like serious salary or income. But
when you say contract, you mean like it was a temp, like it was for a few months?
Right. It was like a month to month, depending, like there was kind of like a trial period, but the trial period went on for like 9 months,
Oh, okay. And what was it? So you worked there for 9 months. And by the way, $20 an hour is great. That's the equivalent of about 40K. And I imagine it was, more consistent than what you were currently doing, right? With the waiting tables and the Postmates and stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was like a good pro that it was like, I could just make like what I wanted at that place. And it was more, I didn't have the grunt work of, driving all around the city,
Right.
Make deliveries or delivering people from place to place.
Right. And so you you worked there for 9 months, and then how did that transition into your current company?
Yeah, so that was really cool. From that job, I got a message from one of the recruiters, or actually got several messages from several recruiters when I told them, or put there like on the LinkedIn, like, oh, I'm open for open for work or something. And that was, I got a message from one of the recruiters, and she told me, like, hey, we're looking for a PPC strategist here at, Thomson Reuters. Are you interested? I could set you up for a meeting. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah. We interviewed. It was great. Went on to the second round of interviews, and they spoke with me. I spoke to them about like my knowledge in PPC, and then from there, they hired me to come on board, and I was on board, and now I'm still here. So
That's fantastic, man. So you did the same thing so many of my students do, which is that you got that first job, which had, pros and cons, the pay, honestly, that's still very good, $20 an hour, but it's not what you're making, it's a stepping stone. And
right.
that experience is what led you to get the current job. So what was this, and was this job at the time, you've been there for a couple of years, was it remote or in person?
The Thomson Reuters?
Thomson Reuters, yeah.
Yeah, remote. So that was really cool. I was really happy about that, because it was remote, and I could work from home. So that was really great. And it also like took away the stress of having to travel to work on, in a car and waiting in traffic. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah, if you live in LA, guys, and any of you guys that live in big cities, I mean, LA, DC, New York, or I don't know, globally, London, that the commute is like half of your job. I used to spend 2 hours a day in traffic when I worked in an agency in LA, 2 hours a day, an hour each way. And when I lived, I don't know where you live in LA. Where do you live?
I live in Hollywood right now.
Okay. Yeah, I lived in Hollywood when I first moved to LA. And then I had a job in the Valley, San Fernando Valley. So guys, I know a lot of you guys don't know LA, but basically I'll just explain this. The commute, 20-mile commute, where I used to go from Redondo Beach up to the Valley, took the same amount of time as going 7 miles in the Valley. Like I lived in Woodland Hills, and I would commute to Sherman Oaks. And I know I'm just throwing out these towns. Basically, it was 7 miles, and it would take an hour to go 7 miles because it was so congested. I have to think like how stressful that was every day on top of the actual job itself. So I think it's amazing this was remote before the pandemic, before this became kind of hip. So, So, and what were you getting paid when they first hired you?
I don't remember the hourly. I just know the yearly was like 53,000.
That's awesome. So, yeah.
So I don't know what that is per hour.
So what was it like going from, having to wait tables and stuff to now having this remote $53,000 a year job?
Yeah. I mean, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders, because I was like, okay, now I don't have to like penny pinch, and I don't have to stretch my dollar. Like I can decide, what I want to eat, or like I could even decide like, do I want a car or do I want an Uber? Like there wasn't really, you can afford more things, which also allowed me to even take some of my wages and put that towards like, acting classes and things of that nature, so.
That's fantastic. And you can even like get avocado on your food, right?
The big chips.
And how did it affect you in terms of your acting pursuit? Were you working a full-time job, but were you able to still audition and things like that when you needed to?
Yeah, well, the great thing, one of the reasons that I like working where I'm at is because if needed, even though it's kind of funny the way everything changed because of the pandemic, right? Before you would have to go in person to an audition. So you would leave your house, like you said, the traffic here, even at 11 a.m., whatever time it is, there's always traffic. So I would have to travel, by car to the audition, wait at the audition, and then do the audition and then leave. So that alone is like, I would have to prepare like 2 hours in advance. Like there's not a lot of jobs, that you can like just leave like, hey, I'll be back in 2 hours. That was not, I mean, I don't know whether a job allows you to be like, hey, if you need to go, like you can still, as long as you make up your time, come back and, finish your work. So that was really attractive to me. And kind of like one of the things that I was really happy about. And when I started, speaking to different recruiters, different people in digital marketing and how they would tell me like the flexibility of it. That was a big plus for me. And now since auditions, the majority are online because now they just have you self-tape and that's how people are being cast now for the most part. So I just, sometimes I just do whatever I have to do in my work. If I have meetings, I'll do that. And then if I have to send a tape, then I'm able to be like, okay, let me just take a little bit of time off. I'm still in the same room, do my tape, send it, and then I'm good, and then go back to.
That's awesome, man. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. I was still thinking they were in person, but I mean, the flexibility of this field, guys, it is still remarkable. You've heard it from other students, and Andrea, I remember my other student I interviewed who does SEO for Thomson Reuters. She had the same experience. Remember her previous career was in she was an athletic trainer. I remember she had no freedom. She couldn't get permission to go for personal things. But now, same company, same great culture, the same thing you'll find in a lot of companies, that freedom and flexibility and just the maturity and the respect, which is like, do what you need to do as long as you get your work done.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's things that even like they tell us within the team, like managers, like, hey, we understand we're all adults. Like, we're not going to babysit you. If you need to do something, it's fine, go do it. But, just, come back and just finish your work. And it's not a big deal. It's not like other things, I don't know, like other high paying jobs, a nurse, if you're a nurse, you can't just leave the operating table or doing whatever you do. Like, oh, I'll come back and finish your work. It's like, no, you have to stay there. Once you're there, you're there. And when your time finishes, and that's when you go home,
Absolutely. So. Somebody pointed that out to me, by the way, about other fields where you can make this kind. I mean, look, you're making $53K within a year. Now you're up to $67K. And it sounds like you just got raises as you continue to perform. Is that true?
Yeah. So pretty much, yeah. Because after a year, went from 53 to it's like 67 now. So yeah, pretty much it keeps going, and I hope to continue to increase that number. Longer the more the more that you're proven that like you actually want to be there and you want to work there, and you give your results are you deliver good results, being with a customer service or like your actual PPC performance, then you're fine.
Absolutely. And I even told you when we were messaging, I mean, like but this is something we find with some of my students is that, you're making very good money and you really love where you work. And that's important. And you could change jobs if you wanted to and make more money, because you have the experience, you have the time put in, you have the results, and then it's all up to you. And that's the kind of freedom and flexibility people have with these skill sets. What I was going to say was my previous thought was you're making good money. You have no degree in this. You had no previous experience. You're already making very good money. And a lot of those fields people think of when they think of a stable, high salary, like, medicine, law, engineering, nursing, whatever. None of these fields are like digital marketing because they're all so stressful and there's such there's so much of a demand on your time. Somebody pointed out in one of the comments recently about like finance. People hear about finance and it's like, yeah, this is where you're going to make 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year, possibly. Right. But those guys all work 100-hour weeks. They're working twice as many hours, which they're really only making 50 to 100,000 a year. So you actually, if you actually break down the work-life balance and salary, you making 67,000 a year with a flexible job that you enjoy is worth, it brings you up $10,000-$20,000 in terms of the actual value of it.
Yeah, for sure. I know I have a lot of friends that are lawyers, and I mean, they do well, but it's the same. Like, they're always stressed. And the thing about that is, like, you take your work home with you. So, like, it never really stops, in that field. And, like, if you're a nurse, I don't know why I keep saying nurses, but if you're a nurse, like, you're on call. If you're on call, then you got to get up and go.
Right. Right. I was watching, I've just been watching Grey's Anatomy on Netflix here. They have it on Thailand, and I never watched that show. It's been on for 15 years. I love it. I'm kind of hooked. But I was like, these guys, it's obviously a fairy tale. I mean, it's a soap opera, but doctors, yeah, it's the same thing. And, God love these people. I respect them, but they really give their lives over to these careers. I think if you're doing something like medicine that's meaningful and helping people, I mean, people, you have to have a certain personality for that. But there's a lot of people who are in corporate jobs that, or something like finance. It's like, you're just burning yourself out when you don't have to. And so I'm really happy to hear that you have a good work-life balance with this field, and then you're able to pursue your passion because of it. So that's fantastic.
Yep, for sure. And I like it. Like I said, if I didn't like it, then I would have, do something else. But I mean, I enjoy where I'm at, and I enjoy what I do, and the flexibility is also was really important to me, because of acting, and I do audition, I do other stuff. So to know that I have kind of like that I do know where my next paycheck is coming from, as opposed to like when you're an actor, you do a job and then you don't know. Like, I don't know, in acting they say, like, once you finish your job, get ready, because your next job is just an audition. And that's very true. So once you do that, you're like, you don't know when your next meal is gonna come, or if it's gonna come. So that's also a scary feeling. But that's artist stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you found that foundation. So it's a great story. Thank you for sharing, your experience with us. I think this will resonate with a lot of people in general. And also, if you're an artist watching this, it's something to consider, because again, I'm a big advocate of this field being a real opportunity for people who, want to make a good living, but also want that flexibility where you can have a life and pursue other things. Is there anything else you want to say to me or anybody watching the interview before we finish?
Well, to you, I would say, obviously, thank you for creating the course. And I think even what's more important is making it, I don't know how much it is now, but at least when I got it, it was really affordable, and it's like the best investment anybody could make. And even though there's like a lot of other courses that they're like, oh, we teach this, or you want to make this much money, and they do all this rah. But then it's like, I don't know, like, how worth it may be, but I know at least what you created, and I could be a testament to that. I've done a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other courses, and this was like the first one that I found that really gave me like the playbook and, from A to Z, and how to be successful in this field, and also the confidence that you can actually, do it and create a good income for yourself, or for ourselves. So thank you for doing that. And I guess to anybody that is thinking about this or has any questions, I would just say, like, everything that Seth says in his course and in his ads are true. You really can go from a job, like, if you're making zero, dollars and you have the skills to be a digital marketer, or like after taking this course, you will have the skills. It's very easy to find a job, you know, to go from 0 to 50,000 or whatever thousand. And there's so many jobs. I know Seth is somebody who's always saying like, look at all the jobs there is. It's really true. One thing I will say is I'm always getting contacted by recruiters who want to offer me different positions. Like, hey, we have this position, and they're managerial position. And I know those pay that are like 80K or 90K. I could very easily switch, by the way. I'm capable for sure, but right now I choose just to be where I'm at because I like it. But I would say if anybody's always, you know, you're trying to go from be a 6-figure earner, yeah, I think it's what's that said, like within 3 years you could be there really quick, maybe even faster, depending on how, you know, how dedicated you are to digital marketing. So definitely great opportunity. If you don't have a degree, you can go to college. That doesn't really matter at all. By the way, I will say in the places that I've been for PPC and digital marketing, I was probably one of the few that didn't have a degree. And I know a lot of people, they had their bachelor's and master's from like great schools, and we're making the same. If anything, I don't know, I might even be making a little bit more than them. So it doesn't come down to college degrees or business degrees. It really just comes down to, you know, learning the skills and you know, being dedicated to digital marketing and wanting to do it, you know, and there's a place for you for sure in any aspect, by the way. I'm in PPC, but if you do SEO, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, there's definitely a place for you. And I hope this encourages anybody that's watching, or anybody that's struggling, or anybody who always question like, oh, maybe I don't, you're not making a lot of money, or maybe you work at a job that you don't like. You know, you can switch, you know, and you should if you want to do well, and, you know, do well for yourself and for others. And, you know, it's not that crazy of a job compared to other stuff. So I would encourage everybody to check it out. You know, if Seth's course, you should get it. You know, you can change your life. So I would say do that.
Thank you, man. Thanks very much. That's touching, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad to have helped you. Can people contact you on LinkedIn if they have any questions?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they can contact me anytime. I think it's just, I don't know. How do you search for people on LinkedIn?
I'll just put the link in the video.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if they have any questions, yeah, if anybody wants to ask me any questions about the course or digital marketing in general, or even like, you know, the things I said to get on the interview to get the job, you know, sure. I'm open to any questions and all questions, you know.
Awesome. All right, cool,
Yep.
man. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me and sharing your story. And yeah, man, we'll stay in touch. Maybe we'll do a follow-up in, you know, in a year or so. I always love doing follow-ups, and, you know, keep at it, and we'll keep an eye out for you on the screen.
Yeah, please do. I'm doing a short film. I just, maybe when I finish that in post-production, I'll let you take a look at it. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. And, you know, I'll add it to the video link. If you have a link, I'll throw it onto the interview. Yeah. When I mean, we're going to publish this soon, but, you know, I'll add it later if you want. Cool, man. Well, it was great chatting with you. You know, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, Seth. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And I hope to, you know, continue your work, you know, in the digital marketing field. So happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, man. See you.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. That was great.